Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very special little bonus episode talking about Bridgerton Season 4, Part 1. LeAura Luciano, my friend that you guys have met multiple times here on the channel, is going to be joining me here in a second. And we're just going to be talking about the highlights, the things that stuck out to us, what we found interesting, intriguing, just basically spilling the tea and chit-chatting all about Bridgerton Season 4. Part 1, and it's very juicy. I loved it. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about it. I know we have a lot of Pollen fans here, and I was curious to see how much we were going to see Pollen and like what that relationship was going to look like. We saw very little of them, as you guys know, but what we did see was quite spicy. So I'm sure that made a lot of the Pollen fans happy, which was great. And without further ado, let's just dive right in and let's spill this Bridgerton tea.
Okay, wait, I'm going to spill my accessory too then. I feel like we need the music. Like, dude.
I know. I'll put music under this.
Oh, okay, good. You want to hear music?
No, I'm going to keep your singing in too.
Oh, please. Yes, please do. Okay. This is going to ruin my makeup, by the way. I don't know how the ladies did it.
Well, I went this way.
See, smart. That's what you need. I mean, on the stick. Beautiful.
A fan to keep you cool with all these lights.
Yes, you must. You must. I did find myself speaking a little bit Bridgerton-esque while making dinner tonight.
Oh, I love it.
It gets in your head. Okay, so should we tell everybody what the heck we're doing here with all of our accessories and, our Bridgerton vibes, our choker necklaces, our Regency core, our little candelabras.
Yes.
Mine doesn't even have candles.
Yours is beautiful.
Oh, I love it. I think that actually looks very similar to the ones they had in the show. They're all gold and
Yes.
or the ones with just crystals all over them. It was like one or the other.
Oh, incredible.
Love. Yes. Could live like that personally. So we're going to be just recapping and giving our reactions to the Part 1 drop of Season 4 of Bridgerton. LeAura, first reactions. What are your thoughts?
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so it's been about a year since we last saw what was going on, right?
In the Ton, yes.
We're looking at this period of time where it is the season for, within the universe of the show to see the blossoming relationship of one of the Bridgerton children, right? So this season, I think, is very much based on Cinderella. And
Totally.
you get this whole, I love the way episode 1 starts off. You have very upstairs, downstairs, that upper crust of society, and then you have everybody that works in the home to make the magic of Bridgerton come alive.
Yes.
So I love the story. I love the world building and the visuals that we see. So that's one of my favorite things about episode 1, just the opening. Everybody's getting things ready for this masquerade ball, which is why we have all of our accessories. I was just thinking that all the Bridgerton children would be like doing their little get ready with me's,
Yes,
little
totally.
gilded mirror and just kind of like get ready with me for the masquerade ball. And I'm going to be the belle of the season and, just kind of go from there. So
they were like the original influencers, the upper crust.
Yes.
All they have to do all day is sit around and gossip and try new dresses. I thought it was kind of slow at first, I'll be honest. Maybe I was just having a busy day. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was the show. I'm not sure. But it felt slow at first.
Yeah.
Then I got really hooked. And I actually loved it. I'm I couldn't believe where it ended. There may be spoilers, by the way.
There are definitely going to be spoilers
after you've seen it.
Just wait until I was trying to talk around episode 1, but at the same time, it's hard because you've got to connect everything together.
There's a lot going on.
Maybe if you weren't pulled into the beginning, from the beginning of episode 1 of season 4, maybe it's because you don't know how to leisure.
How dare you? How dare you? And they honestly, this is made for you. That was great. And then yes, Lady LeAura, you're so right. You're so right. I had to learn to leisure. No, Lady LeAura does roll off the tongue. It really does.
It works for me.
She's
I
the
I
target of
I
the
like it.
season. What can we say?
Ooh, we'll see. We shall see.
Okay, I do have a hot take.
Ooh,
It's actually
okay.
not a hot take. I think everybody's gonna agree with me, but I wanna see what you think about this. I even, like, did a little digging into this, and Leora, you sent me over to the Netflix website, which had a lot of really good, like, just articles and, like, more in-depth stuff, and I was fascinated by, like, Sophie being a ward, and we kinda talked about that
Yes.
last night a little bit, so I looked into what does that mean and did all that, and then I saw an interview on the Netflix website where the actress who plays Lady Araminta, who is just enemy number 1, of course, she said something that I was kinda surprised. I'm like, maybe they interviewed her in the very beginning when she'd only recorded, like, 1 show, but she said that her name's Katie, Leung, Katie Lang? I think that's how you pronounce her last name, but she said, "I don't think Araminta is doing it out of malice," in reference to how the character treats Sophie. She thinks that this basic type of care is, like, sufficient, pretty much. And I was like, "What? Katie, maybe they had to have interviewed her, like, maybe when they'd only filmed 1 scene. Because the further you get into the show, the more Lady Araminta I mean, you can have some empathy for her at first with her grief, but no, she is mean. Like,
Yes.
this is
Yeah.
the Wicked Witch territory.
Yes. Well, the evil stepmother. So that
Evil
she's
stepmother.
she's right there. But I
Mhm.
will say when we discuss what a ward was, ward, WARD,
Yep.
during that time, first of all, this is a very specific time period set in
Yep.
London. So basically, a ward is, and I'm going to really use kind of loose terms, but someone who's, they may have been orphaned.
Mhm.
Or what I was looking up was that during that time, it's quite common for men to have had mistresses and maybe had a child out of wedlock. I don't think adoption was the same as it is now. So if
Mhm.
he remarried, the child was not eligible for any sort of inheritance as being the product of something outside of marriage,
Right,
a
he would have
relationship,
had to put her in the will,
it-
which
it-
we
you know,
saw
possibly,
in the grieving
right.
scene. Allegedly, Lady Araminta says that she was left out of the will, but the way that kind of hung in the air made me think
Yeah.
there could be a twist at the end, and I
There,
hope there is.
there absolutely
I
could be,
hope.
but I think the workaround could be the fact that she indeed was a ward,
Mhm.
given sort of that as not a title because unfortunately she was not able to receive any title based on that relationship. So yeah, that was very interesting. And I'm not sure, of course, we're following a TV series based
Mm.
on a very fictional fact pattern. So it's kind of hard to figure it out. I'm sure there are going to be legal scholars who have a lot to say on the topic.
Yes, legal scholars, dig in. I asked ChatGPT about, like okay, because I was like, "Why didn't Lady Araminta" let's say she's, like, really uncomfortable with Sophie being a warden still living there and, whatever. She doesn't want to continue to elevate her in any way. Instead of making her a maid, I asked ChatGPT, I was like, during that time period, could she have just hurried the process along and found her like a suitable husband so that she could leave the household? Now, again, ChatGPT is not a legal scholar of the Regency era, but ChatGPT said yes, that would have been a great
Okay.
idea. Thank
Um,
you, ChatGPT.
that is the question. So, yeah, I
Mm.
guess ostensibly she could have
Hmm.
been out there in the world looking for a husband. However, I don't think it would have been within that world, right?
Right.
So
It might have
it
just been
it
like
would
a
be
kind farmer or
right.
someone, a merchant, or,
Yes,
not
yes.
necessarily a noble person.
Right, right.
Hmm.
Perhaps she does, in a way, believe that she was doing a kind thing.
Maybe. But then, like, when she was saying trying to accuse her of being jealous of the other sister, I was just like, "Gosh, you gotta pick on this girl when she's down." Like, it was
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Cinderella.
Oh,
Oof.
absolutely. I'm not defending her. I'm definitely not defending her
Don't defend
character.
her, LeAura. Don't you dare. We're gonna fight.
I am leaving some room for hope that there is a little bit of justice
Or
for Sophie Beck and
I
for her
really hope
character.
so.
maybe not just in love, but also in trust and estates. So we'll see what
Yes,
happens.
yes. She's been through so much. She really
Yeah,
has, and
yeah,
she's just a sweetheart. I do have a really good feeling, of course, that this story's gonna have a happy ending, which is why I was just like, "Oh my god, they're leaving us hanging
yeah,
until the end of February. I wanna know it now. I wanna watch episode 5." But I really loved that whole upstairs, downstairs thing. It's very Downton Abbey. It made me think a lot about how people must have felt back then, feeling like you're just in this little box. Like how sad and strange that it's dictated like who you can and can't be with. We don't even consider having to deal with something like that this day and age. So yeah, they really went through it. Maybe that's what that actress was kind of referring to. I'm sure she did a lot of research into the way things were back then in society. So maybe she did just have more empathy for how boxed in everyone felt.
yeah.
Lady Penwood, we see you. And then I think like at the end of episode 4, I'm pretty sure they were alluding to Lady Penwood and her daughters moving in next door to the Bridgertons.
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh
Huge,
my
huge spoiler alert.
god. Like, oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah. I was at first, when I watched it the first time, I was like, wait, what? What am I seeing? Yeah. So that's really going to be intense
It's
and
gonna be
a huge
intense.
part, yeah, of next season. So that should be very interesting. But I think that
Yeah.
the lovely thing is we know we're gonna get our happy ending with Bridgerton.
Thank
So
goodness for that.
we know it's all gonna work out. But the question is how? How is this
How?
going to work out?
Were there any high points that you particularly loved? Like anything that stuck out to you, either an outfit or a plot line or a twist, just anything
Oh,
that you loved?
yeah.
I wanna know.
Oh my gosh. Well, of course. I
Of
mean,
course.
so we're talking about the love interest here. I don't think we've mentioned him. We have not talked
We
about
have
the love.
not even discussed this man. Oh my god.
So I think from the first episode, Benedict Bridgerton, this is the man of whom we speak. And
Yes.
he is a sort of man about town, bon
Mhm.
vivant, if you will.
Mm.
I'm not sure. What do you remember the word they were using in the show to describe him?
A rake.
A rake. They kept saying,
Mhm.
"Oh, he's a rake."
He's
And
a
I looked
rake.
it up and it was just one of those words. It's so good. But basically, he is commitment phobic, shall we say. And he seems
Mhm.
to do quite a bit of bed hopping.
A
It's one
rake
of
with a
those,
heart of gold,
right? Of
because it's
course,
Bridgerton.
he has redeeming qualities.
Mhm.
So I think in episode 1, we kick things off. We're getting ready. Everybody's getting ready for the masquerade ball, getting put together. And he is nowhere to be found. Lady Violet has to go and collect him. He is just waking up from some sort of tryst that had happened the night before, and there are various parties in his room, and he just has to sort himself out and get together to get to the masquerade where he does make his appearance. And that's where our couple has their love at first sight moment. What do you think about that?
Yes, I agree. It really did take me a second to kinda get into it. Like, when we were first seeing everybody, I was excited to see Penelope, and she was wearing that pirate hat. I was looking at everybody's outfits and stuff, and he gives me dark Sagittarius energy, by the way. I tried to look up his birthday of, like, the
Oh,
fictional character because I thought that might be fun to know some elements of his birth chart, but
yeah.
no, couldn't find it. Like, even the fictional character does not have a birth date. So if anybody has found that, if
Well,
you're an avid reader of her books, maybe you know the birth date.
that is also very interesting because he is sort of the spare. So he's
Yep.
kind of with even though he is in this upper class, he's sort of thought as when he speaks to this that he's sort of not important. It's not an issue what he does or doesn't do with his life.
I liked his outfit a lot. I have to say, I did like the way that they styled him as like this dark, kind of brooding character was very on the nose with who he is. I thought it was funny that all the ladies were just like clamoring to
Yeah.
try to get the attention of the one person that could care less about finding a wife. And then I did think it was really cute how she was like looking up at this beautiful chandelier and he saw her as being someone different, just like himself. So, like, there was kind of like this I feel like they have, like, a little soulmate recognition type of
Ooh, I
energy,
love that.
which
Yes.
was why it drove me crazy that I was like, "Oh, they're not recognizing each other." Like, the whole time, I'm like, "Is this the moment that he's gonna realize it's her? Is this the moment?" Like, the whole time I was on the edge of my seat, like, every episode. and we only got that in the fever dream. I was gonna do some research on the medical, then I was like, "Forget it." That was an
Oh, okay.
interesting little the way they kinda played that out.
I'm assuming that he was ill. So, first of all, we've got it. So this is we've jumped to episode 3,
Okay. Oh, sorry,
and
Leora. Here, let's mess it
I
up. Let's get messy.
so this is also, I think, episode 3 was one of my favorites because of all of
Ooh.
these things that were happening. So, of course, it takes place at a place called My Cottage. And if you are heated rivalry obsessed like I am, you know the cottage. And even if you're not heated rivalry obsessed, by this point, you know about the cottage. You know something happened at the cottage.
Something happened.
Here, something happens at my cottage, not my personal cottage, but that's the name of the estate. So
Mhm.
basically, this is the point where they are one on one. He's defended her honor and gets into a fight and gets
Mhm.
injured. And we don't know the extent of the injury or whatever, but basically, they end up at my cottage
Mhm.
and she hears him crying in the night. They're in different rooms sleeping, and she opens the door and he's like writhing in pain. And she looks and she sees that he's got an open wound of some sort.
Yeah, it's
I'm
like
assuming
blood and there's a cut
it's an
on his side
infection
and
or
yeah,
something.
and
And
she
so
knows
basically,
what to do. She knows what it is,
I think she just
kinda.
grabs a rag and some alcohol, and
Mhm.
that's the disinfectant. And she's like,
Mhm.
okay, you're gonna ride it out because I don't know in terms of like the apothecary situation what they would have at home, what you would
I know.
have at home without having a doctor there. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. She cares for him. And of course, this cottage also has its own upstairs, downstairs vibe. So, we're really kind of head to head with like class
Yeah.
struggle and people wanting to place Sophie. And she is literally dressing up in his sister's old clothes. So she does not look like a maid. She looks like the aristocracy. And they don't like that. He's the
Yeah,
only one who doesn't have a problem with that.
what was the woman's name? Again, it's
I
an
have to
older
look up now.
couple that he said that the older lady has taken care of him since he was a child, and she's, like, they're very sweet, but you can see, like, that kind of ingrained upstairs, downstairs thing. Because even though she's sweet, she does still say things to, like, keep Sophie, like, in her place, so to speak, and the whole time this is happening, I'm like, "Girl, just tell him who you really are, tell him your life story," like, because she actually is the daughter of a noble person, and that's why she was educated in all these ways. I feel like he would just totally get it, and, like, we can skip all this BS, but then we wouldn't have a good, season of Bridgerton, so I get it, it has to play out, but I was so frustrated. I'm like, "Just tell him who you really are," and
Well,
everybody's,
that's
like, looking down their nose at her. It's just even, like, the nice people, like Lady Bridgerton, even she is not willing to cross the lines of the class of, like, that time, how everything was separated out. So that part is the most frustrating.
yeah, I mean, that's a theme that you see basically
Mhm.
every single episode that is reoccurring, and it's really forcing these characters to deal with it head on. It's like, okay, some of the characters seem to realize that it's like, okay, we are of the time. I'm trying to say a lot without doing too many spoilers, but we might get there anyway.
Yeah.
But they're
Spoil it rotten.
they're really bucking kind of back at what's expected. And even when we found out in season 3 that Penelope was Lady Whistledown,
Mhm.
now I feel like now that we know and now that it's sort of out there, you would have thought that maybe this would come to an end,
Right.
but if anything, it's sort of given her a little bit of celebrity. Now, what that
Yes.
means, I'm not exactly sure, but she's had FaceTime with the queen directly now.
Mhm.
And she is still expected to, even though these weren't a part of any official duties, she's expected to perform and bring the tea to the season. So it's really interesting to see something like that you would think would be maybe she would have been shunned or
Mhm.
had some sort of negative repercussions. It's now fully embraced. So I think very interesting while we continue to see these class struggles constantly come up every step of the way in every episode.
Yeah, to your point about Penelope, I thought it was really interesting too how when they were at the ball, all of these ladies ran up to her and they were trying to get her attention, trying to talk to her, trying to get her to maybe write about them. And they kind of pushed one of the girls towards her and they're like, she's the diamond of the season. Like everybody wants this stamp of approval from Whistledown now.
Yeah.
And the queen, she puts a lot of pressure on Penelope. I feel like that could be something that could also get a little bit stressful at times, having to please the queen. She's not easily pleased.
Absolutely
Mm,
not.
that she's a lot to deal with.
She is a whole lot. So I think that's really, as we see their relationship with the cottage, what I liked is once he was feeling better and they were out playing with a kite. And it was so lovely because you could see them in their own bubble in love here. Maybe they've already fallen in love. I don't know if there was a precise moment or if it really was love at first sight because he'd been searching for her the whole time. You're kind of like, when is he finding out who she is? When is he finding out about her? And
No,
yeah,
like I just want them to figure it out. But yeah, it was really sweet. Like you said, like their own bubble. It's like you just wish that it could be like that forever for them. And then he tries to make that the case at the end of
Mm.
the 4 episodes, and it's like you can tell he thinks that he's found the perfect solution,
Yeah.
which at the time, if you couldn't and they talk about it, the guys are all talking about it, how just because you can't marry someone of a different class, that doesn't mean that you can't be in love with someone who's in a different class, and that's what you
Right.
have mistresses for. So he gets the right idea to allow himself to be in love with her, and he tells her he wants to take care of her, she deserves more, and says, "Will you be my mistress?" Which, of course, just is like a dagger to her heart.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. Oh my god, but I do get his thinking on because what is the alternative for the time? Does he pull a Prince Harry and just say, "Forget it, I'm leaving, and I'm taking her
Mhm.
with me." Like, what do they do back
Mhm.
in the day? Does he still get to keep his inheritance? Is he
Right.
gonna say, "Forget it, I'm not gonna be a Bridgerton anymore"? I mean, I wanna know.
Right. We don't know the
What could they
repercussions
do?
yet. We just don't know. I don't
We
think
don't
we know
know.
yet, but I do think it was very interesting. What I always enjoy about Shonda Rhimes is that the world in which we are is there's a lot of perspective from a woman's perspective. So
Mhm.
her reaction, there is a cliffhanger. We don't know what happened, but her reaction speaks volumes. She just left, basically. And I've heard this is not something that I've seen because my algorithm is already Bridgerton forward. And the fact that they had this interaction on the stairs, you literally have the upstairs, downstairs, and they meet in the
Oh
middle.
my
So
god.
you have like he's
I
coming downstairs and she's coming upstairs, and they kind of meet like right in the middle. And this is where they have this
wow.
interaction. And this is where he asks her the question, where it's almost like a perfect moment for a proposal. But instead of marriage, he asks that question. And as soon as he says those 4 words, you're like, "Oh my god,
No.
how could you?"
Yeah, you're like,
And
"No."
yeah, and her reaction is pretty on point. It was great. She doesn't even respond to that question. She walks away because she has plans for the evening, and we will see.
And then he just looks after her coming upstairs or vice versa, and them meeting in the middle. The symbolism, I didn't even think of that. That is really cool. Yeah. There was a lot going on between them, throughout every episode. You're always looking for a look or a moment where they're going to break through that class distinction. You can tell there was one moment in particular when Benedict first comes home and brought Sophie at this point, and he's already talked to his mother about employing her. The other brother comes home and everyone's talking and laughing and it's very animated. You can tell he looks over at Sophie and she's in there holding the dessert tray. And it looks like he wants to actually talk to her about something and bring her in. And he stops himself and you can just see it. And then you see like that invisible wall kind of come up again. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
Yeah.
my God, like they're right there, but they're so far away from each other.
The thing with
Mhm.
Sophie is she does have education. She's well read. And the only thing that she doesn't have that maybe a lady of her age would have is like the dance lessons. So there were lots of clues for Benedict to find her, but she was masked. It was all of these little details. He was searching high and low, like the prince in Cinderella. He goes on this epic journey, but he's also somewhat clueless. People know if they were at the masquerade ball or not, but if they're invited to meet with him, they're not passing up on that opportunity. So
Exactly.
it's very interesting. And, also the level of Delulu that guests there had, they were like, oh, he's so into me. He was very
Right.
interested in me. And you're like, did he even see you? Did you even interact? What are you talking about?
Right. Like y'all didn't even talk.
He was barely there on time himself. And then
Mhm.
he goes out and has this beautiful, after they have their eyes meet, they have this little moment outside and they're talking. And I think he sees that she's, he says sort of the cheesy thing of like, "Oh, you're not like other girls," but
Mhm.
she quickly just snaps that right up and says, "What do you mean by that?" Like, it was a read without saying much, and she's so good at that because I think she's just whip smart, but unfortunately, like you said, it's being in those boxes, it's being, held back by class and status. So
Mhm.
very interesting to see them try to overcome that.
Yes, I agree. And it'll be really interesting to see where they go from here. Now that he has made this indecent proposal to her and it's just sort of hanging in the air. I think he got the picture that she was not interested, no, she didn't have to say a word. And now it's like, but at the same time, he knows that she has feelings for him because of their interaction on the stairs, the steaminess of it all. So what's he gonna do next, and what's she going to do now?
Well, I guess his action, I mean, again, speaking to these characters that are the upper crust of society that, maybe they think they're doing the right thing, but are they evil or are they a product of their time or a mix of both? Him after they get back from my cottage, he's like, "You can't get work anywhere else. I'll hire you. You'll work in my family's household." And she's like, "Okay, I don't want to do that."
Mhm.
Basically, she has no other prospects. So she's left with no choices. And she just kind of has to
Right.
deal with it. For him, he thinks he's doing something good. He thinks
Mhm.
he's perhaps doing the right thing, but there's a certain lack of awareness if you're looking at it like that staircase from up to down or down to up.
Yeah.
People looking down, they think they maybe are being benevolent and kind. It's not that way at all.
No, it doesn't come across that way at all. It comes across as, like, him wanting to keep her around, but not without any sort of commitment or whatever. So, first I was annoyed by that, but then when he said, "Well, for some reason," and he's very nice about this, he's like, "I'm sure it was a mistake or a misunderstanding or something. Her previous employer has called around to everyone and said that, not to hire her, that she can't be trusted." So, that to me goes beyond, like, that's another one of Lady Armenta's moments of cruelty. Because not only have you fired her, thrown her out on the streets, the daughter of the man that you claim to love, but you're gonna treat her his daughter like that. It's crazy that then she wants her to also be shunned, and, like, back then, you had no money and no one took after you at all. I mean, what do you do? Do you become like that's how women back then I think would have to become prostitutes. If you were lucky, you could become a lady's maid in a nice household, but other than that, if you don't have a family or any sort of training in anything and people in nice households aren't going to hire you because someone's ruined your reputation, that's kind of all you have in that time. It was like a death sentence. Like that was harsh. That was cruel.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't
And the
wait for her to
cool,
get hers at the end.
I guess we'll see in part two.
She will.
The interesting thing about that too is, if Sophie, even if she was the most untrustworthy person, which we know is not true, she needed to be replaced by three others, basically.
Yes.
Lady Armenta had to coach other staff from other households to replace Sophie. And it took about 3 ladies to do the jobs that she was doing. So, yeah.
Just goes to
So,
show how much work she did and how hard of a worker she was. And to that same point, when she first showed up at the Bridgerton house, she was talking to the other employees and explaining the things that she had done at the previous house. And the woman who was in charge was like, "Oh, you would not have to do all those jobs." And they all kind of look at each other and then sort of look away. And you can tell they, without them saying, they kind of get a sense of what she's been through as well. They're like, "Oh, she used to have to do all of that. That's not how it is in the Bridgerton household." So there's a lot more kindness. I definitely think with the Bridgertons, they're more just operating as a result of the times they live in, whereas at the Penwood household, at least with Lady Araminta running it, there was a lot of cruelty, a lot of meanness. And then the Featherington household, and that was also kind of telling of Lady Featherington's point of view, just sort of taking advantage. I feel like they were trying to give another layer of like what ladies' maids went through at that time. And Lady Featherington was saying to a woman that had been there for a long time, she was talking about how she was like a member of the family. And she was like, "Well, we shouldn't talk about money with members of the family."
yes,
And
yes,
she
that's
had been
right. Okay.
offered, and Lady Penwood had
Yeah.
offered her a better salary. And so she approached her in good faith, saying, "I wanna stay here, but I can't even afford to buy myself decent clothes for my off days to walk around." And then the maid, she was smiling, thinking, "Oh, it's gonna go well." And then kind of flash forward to a few scenes later, we see Lady Featherington giving her some, like, ridiculous feathered, like, looks like a dress or a skirt, something this woman would never wear, and trying to kinda
Yeah,
throw her her
something
scrap.
it seemed like she pulled something from her closet that she would have
Yeah,
either have worn, like, a long time ago, something that may be outdated or something, and she would have no purpose to wear it either.
right.
So,
Right. It also,
yeah,
she didn't miss it, and there's no way that this woman is gonna be wearing that. It's not, I don't think it's her style, and I don't think she has a place to wear it. And
right.
then in that same, like, storyline, then we see Lady Featherington come in and she sits down and she asks for some tea, and then all these people walk in, they have boxes and boxes of clothing and whatever fine things that she's went shopping, and her lady's maid says, "Oh, I thought you said the money was tight." And then that's when she decides to leave because she realizes that she's not valued. So I was just like, "Oh, Lady Featherington, my god, that was
Yeah,
cold."
yeah.
So we'll see if she ends up with, with anybody. People are getting called out right and left.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what part 2 will be, comeuppance for
Uh-huh.
people who are not doing the right thing,
I
hopefully, a
like
little
it.
justice, more romance, but I have some spoilers for part 2, but,
You
I think
do?
yeah, yeah,
Do
so
you
I
do you
know.
do you wanna warn people and then give the spoilers?
I'll wait because it's a
Okay.
big one, and we haven't even talked about these characters yet. There are a lot of moving
They're
parts.
new people?
No, they're not new people.
Oh, okay, just
They've been
characters
with
we
us,
haven't
yeah.
discussed.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So there are a lot of characters in the world of Bridgerton. So, there's some that you follow, the main kind of the A storyline, the A plot, and we're watching romance bloom. But I don't know. There's so many other like small things that occur. Were there any characters that stood out to you other than the ones that we've talked about so far?
The character of the daughter who likes to read a lot, is her name Eloise?
Eloise, yeah.
Eloise.
Hmm.
So, she had very, like, Aquarius vibes. I was like, "Okay, this woman is a free thinker, I like her."
I love that.
But something interesting that kinda, like, a line that stuck out to me, when they're over at her sister's home, and her sister's, like, very excited about throwing this party and going above and beyond to have everything decorated and all this stuff. And Eloise makes a comment to her other sister about, just the extent of the decor and how over the top it is. And the other sister, I forget her name. I think she's maybe the youngest Bridgerton sister. She's also unmarried in the house. But she says, "This whole time I thought that you were basically, like, favoring other people over me," or something about, like, trying to impress her, "but now I realize that all you really care about is yourself." And I was like, "Oh, wow." It kind
Yeah.
of like that for a moment, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess, like, the judgmentalness of this sister who is really free thinking, and I think a lot of people look at it as like a rebel and someone who's progressive, which I think is cool, especially for that time period. She's not following what everyone else is doing. But then for
Mhm.
the sisters who are and who are comfortable with that, it makes them feel kind of judged or like called out. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like just kind of a little perspective shift, just trying to see it through both people's eyes. I don't know. That was interesting to me. And I think the next season is about her, right? Eloise's story, season 5.
I believe so. Yeah. So we'll be seeing more of that for next season. That'll be an interesting one to see.
Anything else you wanna touch on? Is there anything that you feel like we didn't talk
Um,
about that you thought was really interesting?
I'm checking both my electronic notes and my hard notes.
Hard copy, analog copy, digital
Oh my
notes?
goodness. Lady Violet.
Yes. Oh my god, yes. See,
There's
oh
so
my
many
god.
layers. I feel like this season, the way it started out, I really enjoyed it. It was a little bit slow, I think, to your point, but it really opened up because you have this big gathering and you're really setting the scene. And then
Mhm.
there's still, I don't know how they do it every season. They touch upon so many different storylines and you're
They
just
really
trying to
do.
follow along. So when we're doing this and, I didn't write like a hard outline. I just wanted things to kind of come up organically. But there are so many moments. And I think Lady Violet's journey is one of those pivotal moments, not necessarily to a particular plot line, but her own story. So I don't know. Do you have any initial thoughts, Britt?
Yes, I'm so happy for her. I feel like she is, like, getting her life. It was really interesting to see how, this lady that I think everyone looks at as the mom and the lady who is very proper and she has all these responsibilities in her family, is the matriarch of the Bridgerton household. You can see that she shares that when she was married, she was very happy. She was married to someone that she loved very much. He's no longer alive. And so it does seem like for a while, maybe she resolved herself to just be that person, that mother, that lady, the matriarch. And maybe she was happy with that for a little bit, but then she meets someone who reawakens her inner fire, so to speak, and reminds her that she is not just all of these other roles that she plays, but that she deserves to be happy as well. And we get to see her go and get her life, get her passion back. And I like the scene where she looks in the mirror. It's very Bridgerton, but she like has her hair down and she looks in the mirror. And you can tell because like the robe falls down to the ground that she is like looking at herself without clothes on. And she kind of like turns to the side and like kind of admires herself and then sort of like poof, like puts her thing back on and brushes it off. But for a second, you see that she feels pretty and she's reminding herself that, yeah, she's like, I still got it. I loved it. I was like, that's a really good, I think, a good message just for all women. Like, just, you always have time to reinvent yourself, and there are always surprises that can come your way if you're open to it. What do you think about it? What were
Yeah.
your thoughts about all of
I
that?
I loved all of that, and I loved especially the scene that you were talking about, sort of, the acknowledgement of herself. She had
Mhm.
that moment with herself before a partner, so she basically connects with Lord Marcus Anderson, gentleman, and then there comes to a point and he is sent to her room and he's basically like, "Oh, I was told we were having tea in a different room." And she says this now iconic line, "I am the tea you were having."
Ooh,
So
Lady
it's just,
Violet.
oh, it's so good. It's so
So good.
cheeky. And there are other, when it comes to love and relationships, there are other subplots that are happening too. We have to talk about the pinnacle.
Yes, yes. That was so interesting to see the way that they talk about that and how frustrating it was and how they probably had a hard time getting information to each other when they're all
Yeah.
talking in these like metaphors. And
Yeah.
you can tell that that one sister,
Oh,
Francesca,
yeah, she's unable to realize a pinnacle for herself?
yes, and I don't even know what
Yes.
it really is. And so she's trying to ask, she asks her mom, and her mom was like, it's a beautiful, like, she's just like, "I have no idea." And then they both just drink their tea. And
Yeah.
then, of course, she asks Penelope, who gives it to her straight, gives her the real information that she's searching for.
She was helpful. Yeah,
Very
yeah.
helpful. What did you think about the way that she had to go about figuring out, like, what it was?
I think the whole time I was stuck on, because of this time period, how historically accurate these euphemisms and
Yes.
terms were. But, I think historically, like if we look at Shakespeare, this intimate experience, it's sometimes referred to as a death. So I feel like they stayed away from that and kind of kept the terminology positive. It seemed to reinforce that there's sort of not one way to do it and not one way to achieve it. And I really like that. And I like basically trying to have these difficult, very personal conversations and
Mhm.
seeing how maybe they would have had these discussions then.
At a time period where it was so like, it's funny because there were certain things that they would do, like have mistresses, or there were things that in today's day and age we would not be open about, right? But then back then, it's like the very basics of human relations. That was the stuff that was hush hush. This person could be having a full on affair, a mistress, a ward, and we're just going to pretend
Right.
like we don't see it. But having a
Right.
discussion about what a pinnacle is, like,
That's taboo.
you'll figure it out or you won't. It was funny that her pursuit of it, she just kept trying to figure it out. And eventually, she had to talk to her husband about it because in the beginning, she felt like she couldn't even tell him what was going on. So it's just, you see all of the layers of repression that people had to kind of deal with during that time period. Women especially had to deal with. And it's nice to see these people kind of break through. And I like that the Bridgertons are, like, for the most part, they seem like very, like, normal, like, nice people, but in this weird world because she can talk to her husband about it. He is a nice person. He's not someone that's gonna make it worse. I like how the characters are written, like, how there's a kindness to the characters.
Yeah, and I think the Bridgerton household is very much run on, love who you love, which is sort of what I think is very interesting with Benedict because he's seemingly openly bisexual and it's not a secret. And it's just, I don't think he can wrap his head around this class thing. And I think his family would not have an issue with that either. Maybe the rest of society may, but
Mhm.
I think he would have the support of his entire family. So I think that is very interesting as well.
That'll be really interesting to see how it unfolds. I just know that Lady Araminta is going to try to be a foil in part 2 of this season 4 drop. I just know she's gonna be up to something.
Yeah.
She's moving closer to the Bridgertons for a reason. I mean, this
Oh,
woman's diabolical.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So I don't know the reasons yet,
I
but
just had a thought.
okay.
What if, okay, this is pure speculation, but what if she knows, so everybody knows about the silver dress thing, right? What if Lady Armenta has one of her daughters dress up in the silver dress? Since she has it, she found it under the bed. I could see her doing that to try to trick him into thinking that one of her daughters is the silver dress woman and be like, "Oh, this is what she wore to the ball." And he's like, doesn't believe it, but then he's sorta, like, confused. I could see it.
Yeah. Perhaps,
Maybe outcome.
perhaps. I think it was also interesting. And now that you're saying that, because I'm thinking there's so much confusion in finding his Cinderella and finding the woman of
Mhm.
his dreams. When he first arrived late to the masquerade ball, I believe his mother said, "Oh, we're not serving whiskey, but you smell like it." So, if he was somewhat intoxicated, maybe he doesn't quite remember.
Yes.
So, perhaps he may have doubts. He may not trust what he remembers. And especially since the ladies, they were all too happy to meet with him, even though they knew they were probably not the woman he was thinking of. It could be that's very plausible. Someone else just slips into this silver masquerade ensemble.
I just don't put it past him to try to trick him and manipulate him
Yeah.
further.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I really overall, I thought it was great. I loved the way the story flowed. I thought it was cool to kind of get into all these different little side stories as well as like the main story. I feel like the writing is just so good. So I loved it. I thought it was a great season, well, so far. And I'm really rooting for this couple to end up together. So that'll be great. Hopefully, we'll see the happy ending. But yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it. Now I'm like on the edge of my seat, waiting for the next drop. So
We
it
have
hooked me.
we have what, 26 days?
It's too much.
Yeah, it's a
26 days
long
too
wait.
long.
Yeah, it's a long wait for more payoff. I just know that each day we're getting closer and closer to our happy ending from Bridgerton.
And isn't
So
that the truth? Isn't that the truth overall?
there's one more thing I wanted to
Okay.
mention, and it's so random just to throw it in there though,
Get random.
because it was the Cinderella season.
Mhm.
If you think of the Disney Cinderella, you remember what she was wearing when she transformed for the ball. She was wearing this beautiful blue dress.
Yeah.
And if you think of what Sophie was wearing when she changed out of her
Mhm.
maid uniform, she was wearing these blue dresses pretty much
Yes.
exclusively. To the point where she was definitely an outfit repeater because she was not comfortable with
Right.
changing.
Yeah.
But then she changed into something else that was also basically a blue dress or had a lot of blue in it as well. So it
Mhm.
really kind of ties the Cinderella theme together as well. So I thought that was very interesting when she was living outside of her role as a maid. She was in a blue dress like Cinderella.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes, that is such a good point. I didn't even think of that, but totally. I'm sure that the costume designer probably had that in mind, so you noticed it. I love that.
Yeah.
And the dresses
Everything
were
is
very pretty.
intentional.
Mhm. Everything has a meaning. Well, I think it's such a good show. I'm loving this season. I can't wait to see part 2, and I hope that everybody watching this will also let us know their hot takes, their favorite moments, things that they wish were different, what they're predicting. Just spill all of it, your tea, favorite lines, anything. We want to hear it. Let us know in the comments.
So, yeah, like Britt said, if you have any questions or if you have things you want to talk to us about Bridgerton, let's get into it in the comments. We
Let's
want to
get
hear
into
it.
it. Yes, we want to hear it. Thanks, Laura. This was so fun. I'm glad we got to talk about it.
Thanks, Britt. This was great. We'll talk again soon.
We will.